The University of Pittsburgh and Carnegie Mellon University, the Shulman family, so to speak, the Shulman gang of Celeron Street. The ones who made the carat tape for Andrew Swimmer and Jaime Carbonell, which was to lift um, voices from the background of my subconscious mind while I was held in trauma state as a golem. The experimentation, in other words, had a lot to imply about rape. Ultimately, they claimed the virginity proved it. And this was because of John Lennon being killed, or so they said. I mean, they said a lot of things that weren't true. So, the point of departure is make believe, imaginary rape. Yeah. And it comes from trafficking of a pornography institution working for the military industrial complex. So, you know how seriously they take the idea of imaginary rape. And there's two real rape videos available from these people. So you're inducted into a connection between real rape and pornographic satire of newlyweds being tied up and so on. And that's the reality of pornography. I mean, what I watch and what I don't watch is no measure of what they do and legally get away with. Yeah, I'm very soft point oriented. Okay, so I like things that seem pretty because I'm a lonely old fellow and keeping myself in a sustainable environment. Who was set up? Martin Edelman set it up with Leslie Katz and Tom Gordon, his two friends. He said, Tom Gordon, you're the captain of the drama scene where we tell Jimmy you got away with date rape because the women of the ad board liberated you at Harvard. And this is Miles Kirshner's ho, 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 ho. Then Leslie Katz, who rubbed it in my face and left me unrequited. And then Martin Edelman, don't stop, don't stop, don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. That's what he would yell, dramatically. So they set up the arcana of what Greg Carl called impinging on the persona's experience. And Ming-Na Wen did voiceovers for Disney World. This is all Carnegie Mellon's puppet show with the Neva Corporation for Yoko Ono and John Schulman and the other people in the Fernholler gang. And they traumatize the neuroplasm. They say, you know what we will do to you when we prove you're guilty of what? They tortured me. Guilty of being tortured. When we prove you're guilty of being tortured, Robert Fripp will trigger the neuroplasm and you'll never make love again. They will castrate you and they'll inject you. And this was all Licky Chops franchised by the NAACP. This is for real. This is not imaginary here. This part isn't imaginary. This part is the reality of what they did to somebody. The criminally insane things were all in the script. Gail Burson talked about just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. And just because you're being falsely accused doesn't mean we won't find you guilty. And she has all this stuff about rape choreography. And along comes Oliver Stone, Gilbert Stone, Clay Shaw, and Oliver Stone, and says it's consistent. So we get to Dewey. And he goes off to Putin and says, we're going to Dewey. And he goes off to Roger Waters and says, we're going to Dewey. And they all had agreed and they were slapping five and they knew everything that was in the script. They didn't even have to look at it. They just left it sit. They pretended they found it, but it was still right where I left it. So they knew all about it all along. So that indicates Yoko Ono was just had a war machine in place after they killed JFK. She had a whole war machine uploaded with the help of the Beatles. And then they pulled the general and he gets to play hidden hand Houdini through the whole thing. Puppet show of John Lennon. And they advertised in stuff like Genesis Slim Lies Down on Broadway, which is over and over about rape, glorifying rape, glamorizing rape. Nobody went after him and said virginity proves rape because he was the puppet master. the juggler that held another pack. You had um, uh, Penis Sinfield saying the jester, and then they start murdering people, saying freedom of speech, and then when you utter something completely innocent, they go out and kill somebody. This is the mind at work in the Jeffrey Corporation. The mind at work in the Jeffrey Corporation, and nobody in Congress tried to put a stop to it. Biden didn't try to stop it. RFK, from look at it, isn't trying to stop it. The police department, the administration of the schools didn't try. Nobody put their foot down. The honors department at my school all knew Penis Gabriel was doing this. And not one of them said, this is ridiculous. We've known James Curry his entire life. Every single person who went along with it knew that I hadn't done anything wrong to Leslie Katz. Knew that I was being picked on, bullied, tortured, subject to social media, taunting, cruelty, sadism, that I'd been beaten half to death. Saul Brecker bragged of dragging me through the glass in public and laughed about it and got everybody to go, ho, 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 ho. Just like Thomas Gordon getting Miles Kirshner to laugh about being kicked out of Harvard overnight and then getting reinstated by the women of Harvard. Wish that was me or something. I don't know what the hell they're doing. It's a setup, and it's a cold blood, and it's obviously a setup. That's what drives me berserk. And they gaslighted it. They chemically castrated me. They murdered Shannon Harps. They poisoned me in the mouth and announced COVID, and they dared me to say anything because they're not finished. It's unfinished business. That's John Lennon's big, big gesture in the sky. It's fucking ridiculous. It's a cliffhanger where they remember the explosion in Lebanon. They have it tears hard. The Black Panther Party has threatened to flashcard their very own children in neighborhoods in what they think, because of their spender beanies, is creative global equity. These are people who refused to listen to Echo School ideas in the 80s, called ecology a piece of the expanding pie. And not one of these people who refuses to investigate, okay? They refuse to investigate. It's a joke being played on Jimmy Curry by Clint Eastwood, they say. So we're all destined to laugh about it. Ha 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 ha. With Hunter Biden and his toot. They can't even just say knock it off. That would be the simplest thing in the world. Stop with your stupidities already. The whole thing was scripted. Scripted doesn't make it true. Scripted makes it suspicious, not true.